Good evening, YouTube. So today I just wanted to talk more about the impeachment inquiry, or rather the real. It has been made into reality. The House endorses the impeachment inquiry. So this is another stepping stone on the road to impeachment. I want to comment about this. So I will play the clip from Global News, and then after I'll comment more. Thank you for your time and attention.
To be ceding our ability to hold any president accountable.
Democrats are trying to impeach the president because they are scared they cannot defeat him at the ballot box.
The historic vote split predictably down partisan lines.
It's a sad day for all of us.
Democrats used their majority to approve the rules for the next phase of the impeachment inquiry.
The yeas are 232. The nays are 196.
Despite Republican calls to shut the whole process down.
Trying to put a ribbon on a sham process doesn't make it any less of a sham.
The next phase of the inquiry moves the case against the president into full public view, with open hearings and the release of transcripts from earlier depositions.
So that the public can see the facts for themselves.
For the first time, the president's lawyers will be able to question witnesses. But Republicans argue the probe is still illegitimate, claiming it's based on a flawed process and an anonymous whistleblower. Shortly after the vote, President Trump phoned into a British radio show.
I think what it means, and what a lot of people are saying, because it's a hoax. And, high crimes and misdemeanors. Well, what's a high crime and misdemeanor when you have a very appropriate conversation?
Notably, only a select few Republicans have come to defend Trump's conduct on that July phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
There's nothing in that phone call that is wrong or impeachable.
And as the vote took place, the impeachment inquiry continued behind closed doors, with testimony from a top White House advisor who was on that call. The inquiry has already heard from other White House officials who raised serious concerns about the conversation, staff who believe Trump made clear demands for Ukraine to open an investigation into Joe Biden in exchange for U.S. military aid.
As Jackson, and now that...
So there's a couple of things. Number one, it seems that this clip is biased because many Republicans have already come forward in defense against Trump. That was a lie. The second thing was, of course, if you have read the transcript, you'll know that there was no such thing as an exchange for favors for to investigate Joe Biden. It was simply something. The government of Ukraine had a lot of corrupt officials that I believe Joe Biden, now in hindsight, actually bought off. So he got either a deferred prosecution, or the trial itself, he did not have to attend it, even though there was a legitimate crime committed in Ukraine by Joe Biden. So now back to the process. Here is the problem. This is a lesson in power. So when you look at it, when Trump was running during his presidency in 2016, nobody believed or predicted that he would win. At least not the mainstream media and the general atmosphere at that time. Everybody was pushing for Hillary Clinton to win. Perhaps many of you remember it. In addition to that, as Trump was getting more and more popularity state by state and rallying more people to his cause, I believe that the Democrats already perceived him as a legitimate threat to their power base. They may have predicted that Trump would win, in which case they began preparing all of these, let's call them scandal processes in order. I wouldn't say that at that time they were confident that he'd win, but they were already preparing to bring him down, so to speak. If you've ever read the Clinton emails, you'll see that there is a lot of sabotage going on with the Democratic Party. Even with Bernie Sanders, another Democrat, this party eats its own to get power. Let's put it like that. So imagine how much more they eat an opponent. In addition, Trump with the inquiry that's happening now, will be distracted by these impeachment process, let's say. He won't be able to govern properly because this process now will take him away from his ability to govern. So you can say the impeachment process have several effects the Democrats intend. Number one, impeach Trump. So if you can get him impeached, you can take away the presidency and so on. Number two, if you succeed in that, you will have succeeded in something that good lawyers, if you're a lawyer, maybe you know what I mean. A great lawyer will be able to rewrite the law. If the Democrats succeed, this is a new chapter in it's not the democratic process anymore of being elected and letting somebody who's elected run government. This will be the first time in history in which a elected president will be let's call it because the Democrats are the best manipulators of the law. They will be able to, through exploitation and manipulation, manipulate the law to impeach Trump. So it's actually not a democratic, that's actually the word, a democratic process that helped them to elect the leader. The Democrats are trying to take power into their own hands away from Trump. So that's what the goal is. The goal is an attempt to circumvent the law by knowledge of the law. And even though Trump is innocent, and you read the Ukrainian transcript that's been unredacted, and there's a transcript out there that you can read if you look for it. You'll see that there's no exchange of favors. It's just a conversation about Joe Biden. Were you aware of this? You know what I mean? It's not anything impeachable. But what the Democrats are actually proving is that even though you're innocent, if the lie is big enough, if you can sell the lie to the press, to the public, and to the senators, the Congress and Senate and so on, if enough people believe it, that's enough already to impeach him. And then all they have to do is buy off a judge or some judiciary body that they can use to complete the process. This lady here will summarize it nicely, how the Democrats manipulate the law. Please attend to this.
The first one is that the Democrats cannot fix this process. They've now created a record over the course of the last several weeks with witnesses they selected. We know there were circumstances where Chairman Schiff told witnesses not to answer questions that our members were asking. We know there have been circumstances where our members have attempted to go read transcripts and they've been told by staff members that they're not allowed to go read those transcripts. This is a process that has been fundamentally tainted. The president has had no rights inside these hearings. His counsel has not been able to be present. So for them now to claim that they're suddenly going to open the process up, which, by the way, this resolution does not do. The resolution says that they're going to continue doing what they want to do. It gives authority for open hearings, but they cannot go back and fix what is a fundamentally tainted and unfair record. The second thing, it's very important for the American people to understand, and you heard the leader and the whip talk about the things that are not getting done here. And there is a long list of things the American people deserve to have done that simply are not being addressed because of the Democrats' obsession with impeachment. But think about what Speaker Pelosi has done for the last several weeks and what she codified today. What she did today was she said she is going to take the Intelligence Committee of the House of Representatives, which is arguably the single most important committee when it comes to our oversight, when it comes to the national security of this nation. And she has told them stop all focus on any issue that has anything to do with the national security of the nation. You saw Democrats on the floor of the House arguing that somehow it was Republicans who were putting politics above national security. There is no one who has done that the way that Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff have done that. History will hold them accountable. History will judge them. We're at a moment where the nation faces grave, significant, ongoing threats. And she has completely neutered the Intelligence Committee. She has said they must be focused on a partisan impeachment process and not their oversight obligations that we have as a body, that we have as an important branch of this government.
So there you have it. Pelosi is trying to make a partisan bid for power, trying to use her influence in the House of Representatives, and also using her power to essentially force the Intelligence Committee, let's call it, to focus on the impeachment process of Trump. So, and as she put there, force the Intelligence and the House of Representatives to stop essentially the oversight of the American government, stop focusing on national security and focus on a partisan impeachment process. So their goal is take Trump out of power at any cost. Even if we will be found guilty, they seem still willing to risk it. And part of that, of their confidence, I think, is that they have the right officials in their pocket in government. So they have the right influence and so on to actually make it reality. Here's the danger. What if they succeed? They will have illegally impeached a president who's democratically elected. That means in the future of America, even if the people's voice is heard and on paper and counted 1 million times at the ballot box, it's not going to account for anything, because if they can rewrite the law in this way and by hook or by crook get rid of a president that they don't approve of, that they cannot, let's say, corrupt, or that they cannot control, they will try other means to achieve that goal. So this is what bothers me. When I look at my notes here on the fake whistleblower and whatnot, like, Schiff still hasn't identified. This is a severe. I cannot understate how important it is the investigation be transparent. And at every turn, the Democrats have done everything in their power to shroud it in secrecy. Schiff still doesn't identify the whistleblower. I think he himself is the whistleblower. He invented the whole thing, essentially creating a fake narrative. But that aside, if you look a little bit deeper and scrutinize it, the resolution that they're passing in the House today gives them even more power, the Democrats more power, to shroud the investigation. At least now Trump's attorneys will be able to have a chance to look over what their options are legally. But imagine if it was you in Trump's position. You're surrounded by the wolves. You're not allowed to defend yourself. They're closing in on you. They will give you maybe to the last second to front and to build an attack, a counterattack in this case, to this entire process. So what I'm saying is, this actually could come to pass if the Americans don't do something about it to protect Trump. I confess it's difficult for me not to like Trump, just because of his deep love for his country, and the fact that the American, I have to say the Americans are in much better shape than they were under Obama. I think Trump spent maybe 2 or 3 years undoing the damage created by Obama. But that aside, he's one of the most respected leaders worldwide for the way that he serves his country. It's not in dispute. We have Prime Minister Trudeau here. We know the difference between a terrible leader and a good one, somebody who looks after their nation. So when I tell you, this process is not it is about impeachment, but it's not really about impeachment. This process is actually Democrats trying to rewrite the Constitution of the law itself, of the electoral process that occurred. And they've been doing it repeatedly since Trump has been elected. Let us not forget that when at the beginning, when Trump was sworn in, scandals following the press, there was even a fire during his inauguration. There was a lot of let's call them pretenses for the media to attack Trump, for his political rivals to attack Trump in every way. He must be under a great deal of stress, because when you look at the multiple scandals that seem to follow him, it's a terrible burden to bear for an individual, a ruling leader more so. On the one hand, it's several things are occurring at once. Trump is no longer able to focus on governing, campaigning, and so on. So it's a distraction like that. He cannot govern properly. It distracts him from issues abroad that he must handle at this time. It creates a lot of unrest at home and divisive politics and so on. And at the same time, if he doesn't handle the investigation carefully, by hook or by crook, the Democrats will have him impeached. I tell you, it will happen, illegally or illegally. It doesn't make a difference to that party. Pelosi is just. I say that Schiff should be the one who is arrested, because then at least we can question him and get to the bottom of it, because there's so much lack of transparency in this case that it's obvious that they're not even trying to hide the illegal actions they're doing, the Democrats, I mean. So when Trump says it's a hoax, I think he might be dismissing it out of hand because he's innocent. But at the same time, he doesn't want to create, to breathe more life into the investigation, because if it's fair, he'll get it overturned anyways. But the Democrats, if successful, will prove that they're able to undermine the Democratic electoral process, which is a severe infringement on the freedom that the Western societies enjoy. Imagine that that's a move towards totalitarianism, a dictatorship, if you will. But a secret underground dictatorship trying to grab power from underneath. And Pelosi is an absolutely disgusting individual. When I look at her, she put a paper of the American flag on a plaque and tried to use her narrative to inspire her followers, but nothing could be more fake. The way that you if you saw it, you'll know it's completely disingenuous and a fabricated speech, just designed for politics, talk for power, to manipulate people. I'm troubled deeply by this. Like him or not, Trump has done a supreme job as president of the United States. History may remember him as a great president, I think. Just because somebody that loves the nation that much should not be forgotten, but the history should not be distorted. Historians will remember them for what they were, because you're judged by your actions, right? Trump does everything in the interest of the states, so it's obvious. The impeachment process is now approved by the House Democrats, so we're in a very dangerous time. Another step forward in the fake. Let's call it the Democrats trying to circumvent the law and manipulate the law. It's very dangerous, that kind of thinking. And Pelosi should be ashamed of herself. And she has no right really to be the House leader. Put somebody in the Democratic Party need to be completely changed. New blood needs to come in there, because the whole process, I think, I don't know how angry the American people are about this, but this creates a lot of division, a lot of confusion, and delay when it comes to ruling the government with competence. So it's a dangerous idea, and it should never have gotten this far, but it's another stepping stone to a success for the Democrats. But as I want to remind you, the entire process itself is shrouded in mystery, in going behind the scenes, closing the doors, and locking everything in the dark so that they can hide what they're trying to do, and how they withhold the president's rights to look over all the documents and necessary witnesses and whatnot to help him to form a proper defense about these matters. So circumvent the entire law, everything. It's insane. It's I can't imagine being in Trump's shoes at this time and actually have to live through it. It's crazy. Put yourself there in Trump's shoes. Try to envision his life that way. If he's not the personality he was, I don't think a normal person could handle it. It's so incredibly stressful and taxing, and against his family attacks and so on. It's how could a man handle it? I asked that question. Trump is no regular man. He must have like made of steel or something. It very, very, how it affect his mind. I wonder about that question. So that aside, I say even if the impeachment process goes through, Trump is innocent. Trump will defend himself, and he will ultimately get it overturned. And then I hope he still will be reelected, because the Americans, they owe him a debt of gratitude for the work that he's done. You know, say it like that. You hate him or you like him, I don't care. A lot of the hatred surrounding him was a product of the press trying to attack him with scandals. But if you really look clearly, Trump has done a magnificent job as the president of the United States, and he will receive recognition for that, and he should. So I thank you for your time and attention, and good night.